Hello buddies, I'm here with some meme thing that went very far, and this the totem reflection build. This was invented many leagues ago, and some of people were trying to make it before, but I've just seen some mistakes that I want you to take into the account. So the first thing is they somehow take fire damage over time multiplier nodes, and we ignite enemies only just for the reflection of the damage purposes, but we do not use it as our main source of damage. That's why the only way to increase our damage is to use curses and to have the increased damage modifiers on our enemies. And also, people somehow take the node for minus to fire resistance on enemies while taking while we are stationary, and this only affects damage over time. And our ignites do not deal that much damage. We just have the totem reflection that deals our AOE damage. That's why that's just the throwing away our one ascendancy point, and the best version will be to have the totem ascendancy, some explosions, and the defensive variant with fire resistance and maximum fire resistance. As you can see, the gameplay is very smooth, even for mapping. It's not that clunky. We just need to place the totems one time, and with multiple totems we have two of them placed, and when we allocate the node on the tree, we have a chance to place four maybe. We just click once in the middle of the pack, and they reflect the damage and it explodes. For tough bosses, yeah, we place these totems around it, and they just shred. So the main thing that we need to have here is 100% chance to ignite, and to use increased attack speed. The attack speed is key, the increased amount of projectiles and the increased amount of totems, but take care that it's very difficult to place all of them around the boss, so maybe the quiver here with additional totem won't be as good as I thought, but as I've considered this build as all unique build, I've just used this skirmish quiver, but you can swap it for the rare quiver with some additional arrow and maybe life regeneration, resistances if you need, because we lack here cast resistance, but as it's the meme build, I didn't consider min-maxing it as I'm doing and I'm trying with others. And this build suddenly appeared to be a great boss killing thing. That's why I highly recommend it, because the playstyle is just smoothly running around and placing your totems while they're taunting enemies, and the only thing that doesn't work is the reverse knockback, which we have from Empire Grasp gloves, but in the case of hard bossing, I recommend to swap these gloves for just rare ones with additional attack speed, maybe a curse effect, and life regeneration, and etc. So let's discuss what's going on here. As I've said before, the build is based on the Torchoak step boots. The main thing here is that totems reflect 100% of their maximum life as fire damage to nearby enemies when hit. It's not the new mechanic. It was introduced many leagues ago, and I think Juices was the first who made this meme build, and some things changed from that time. So I've seen many guides that utilize some strange things that doesn't work, and people are talking about them very seriously, and they use chieftain too. And as I've said earlier, chieftain is not only the option, it's just the best defensive and clear wise option because of the new Hinikora's Death's Fury, because of the revoked totem ascendancy, because we gain additional recoup and taunt, which helps to be safe while mapping when we place our totems, and also the huge defensive modifiers, which allow to cap all our resistances based on our fire resistance. But you also can use any defensive ascendancy or the character you need, maybe Juggernaut. Others are not that useful, but still, if If you are a YOLO gamer, you can use Berserker just for no reason, and for additional attack speed, you'll get much more damage, or maybe Raider. But the Chieftain is still the best overall decision and the solution for this kind of meme build, which appeared to be a great boss killer. So, what were the mistakes that I saw? Many of the guides utilize fire damage over time multiplier, and I don't know why they allocate these passives, as this reflection damage isn't affected by any damage modifiers. So the only way to increase damage on the enemies is enemies take increased damage and curses. So we utilize here 3 curses, and that's why we have that amazing amount of damage. So, the mechanics of the build and the mechanics in Path of Exile works that every time we hit on the enemy, we can ignite if we have the 100% chance to ignite, or maybe 100% chance to crit, but here is a non-crit build. That's why we need to have 100% chance to ignite, and every projectile that our totem fire ignites the enemy. So it can override the previous damage, and it cannot override the previous damage. But all in all of the projectiles will ignite. That's why we need to stack the attack speed, the amount of projectiles, and we use the Eye of Innocence, and we take fire damage when we ignite an enemy. And in our case, if totems fire additional projectiles, they hit themselves when they ignite an enemy, and then they reflect some damage to nearby enemies. So that AoE is not that big, but it's enough with the explosion to deal damage and to explode packs. And on bosses, we just put those totems around the boss. These 2 items are the main key, and with the Stormfire Ring, which says that our lightning damage can ignite, and we have some lightning damage on our Jewel to ignite and to proc the elemental equilibrium to lower our enemy's fire resistance, and that's very useful. So these are 3 core items to deal with. The next thing is the Address Damning Ring that gives us an additional curse, and we have the corruption on our amulet to have an additional curse too, so we can have 3 curses. And the anointment on the amulet is the Watchtowers to have +1 to maximum number of summoned ballista totems. That's why we have, as far as I remember, 9 totems, which reflect 100% of the maximum life as fire damage, and that's huge multiplier. We need to use a bow, as we use ballista totem, so we need the bow with the highest attack speed. So that's Quill Rain, and I have the corruption here with bow attacks, fire an additional arrow. It's very, very cheap. And the other stats are not mandatory here, so you can take any Quill Rain that you get. So at first I wanted to use the totem skill in the bow. That's why I also had the corruption for level 10 momentum, but I decided that the Forbidden Shaco for Ballista Totem level 33, and in the best scenarios you need Ballista Totem level 35, and also, of course, the second support gem here will be the best as multiple totems or faster attacks, but it's very rare and it will be very expensive. And this Forbidden Shaco I got for 100 chaos maybe, and the overall build I think is under 2 divines. So we'll talk about the pricing a bit later. For the belt, I've chosen just Immortal Flesh for some life and life regeneration, and here I don't have the life catalysts, but with them we'll have even more life and regeneration. For the quiver, I've chosen the skirmish, which gives us some intelligence, +1 to maximum number of summoned totems, and additional arrow for our ballista totem. This quiver is not a mandatory thing because it's very difficult to place all 9 totems that we have around the boss, only in case if it's very big, but all in all 8 totems would be enough, and you can use only just rare quiver with additional arrow, maybe some attack speed, some life, just for utilization purposes. So the Empire Grasp gloves allow us to have the knockback direction that is reversed, and with their siege small cluster jewel, and I have it with the corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you corruption, all our projectiles will always knock back. So that's very useful for mapping and for just map bosses, but it's not very useful for boss killing, such as Invitations, Maven, Shaper, Cyrus, because they are not affected by the knockback. That's why I still have this setup while mapping, but when you do some content as Invitations or maybe boss killing, and despite being a meme build, it can do great boss killing. So it will be better to have just rare gloves with attack speed, maybe life, some regeneration, and etc. To swap while bossing, as we do not have any useful stats on these gloves. I think that's all for gear. I just have the comms heart for life and plus 2 maximum resistances. It's very useful. Dying Sun for some projectiles and some armor utilization. I don't use the iron reflexes here, as we have some problems with mana reservation efficiency. In case if I don't use the Forbidden Shackle, I would use the Devouring Diadem, and in this case we would just want to implement maybe Grace for some additional armor with armor reflexes, with iron reflexes, sorry, and maybe Haste for additional movement speed and attack speed. So what's for the links? We use the Ballista Totem in the Forbidden Shackle with the multiple totems, combustion. We want to have faster attacks here, but as we do not have enough sockets and we need to cap our chance to ignite, we use combustion support, the Divergent Barrage, and the Divergent Barrage gives us additional attack speed, and GMP for additional projectiles. We have lots of additional projectiles. For the auras, we have Purity of Elements, Purity of Fire, of course, and this caps all our resistances. So as we are chieftain, it's very important to have this, as we are all unique build. Of course, Determination, Vitality for some life regeneration, and Enlighten because we use mana and we need to have some mana, and it's very useful to have the skill costs life instead of 30% of mana cost. For the corruptions, of course, I would like to have some cannot be poisoned and maybe a vulnerability skill or punishment skill on the ring. On the another ring, I have the bleeding cannot be inflicted on me, and it's very useful and powerful corruptions that we have for nothing. Additional curse on the Amulet to have 3 curses. The corruptions on the quiver and the bow, I've told you before. Some increased maximum life corruption on the boots, plus 2 resistances on the comms heart. For the curse setup, we use elemental weakness, which is the corrupted on the gloves, and also we use flammability and punishment, and this is a huge damage increase. Some Blood Rage for additional attack speed, and Molten Shell, Flame Dash just for defensive purposes and for movement. Also, we need to have the tattoos for increased totem life, and they're very cheap, maybe 3 chaos for each, and we need them as much as possible, so until we have our strength kept. So we need 191 strength for our skill gems, and I've lowered the amount of strength with these tattoos, but increased my totem life, and as you can see, maybe it's somewhere here. No, it's not there, but our totems have around, yeah, it's here, 20,000 life, and it's huge. If we multiply these numbers, we have 20,000 damage dealt as fire damage, multiplied by 9 totems, multiplied by, I don't remember, 16 projectiles, or maybe 13 projectiles and 15 projectiles with the Dying Sun, and it's multiplied by the attack speed, and then multiplied by minus fire resistance from the elemental weakness and flammability, and then multiplied with increased damage by the punishment on low life, and minus resistance with elemental equilibrium and combustion, etc, 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 and it all makes this build insane. And some words about the tree. We just grab all totem life and plus 2 maximum summon ballista totems nodes on the tree. This one is anointed. We have ancestral bond here allocated with nodes here for totem life, and here I'm level 87 here, but I'll show you their min-maxed POB a bit later. As I said before, we use kineticism for mapping purposes. Also, we need the medium cluster jewel with ancestral eco, ancestral might, another one with ancestral might and sleepless sentries for additional onslaught, and some mana reservation efficiency of grace just gives us some resistances and the ability to reserve some of our auras. And as you can see, we are pretty kept on resistances without any resistances on our gear. And the other things are just some fire damage with a chance to ignite. We use Rain of Splinters for additional 2 projectiles, life regeneration on the tree. We use the Brutal Restraint for Balbala for some flask charges generation, and also additional dexterity to cap our dexterity, and mana reservation here, some dexterity to cap it here, and I think that's all. I'll show you now the min-maxed version. Here is the min-maxed version. The gear is pretty the same here, but we have the enchantment on our Forbidden Shackle, but it's not mandatory too. The jewels are the same. We just have some lightning damage to attacks on our Abyss Jewel, and we need to have some I'll show you here. Yeah, some chance to ignite, and we need 2 of these jewels in the best case to have 100% chance to ignite, because now we have only 95% chance to ignite. It's still good, but it is what it is. We also grab some elemental resistances here to be even more tanky, but you can maybe invest these points in some life again, and we take some defensive damage from hits taken from the nearest totem, summon additional totems, and etc, etc. So I think that's all for today. I hope you liked it. I didn't really expect that this build will go that far. So like, subscribe, leave your comments in the commentary section, and see you next time. Goodbye.